fallout, smoke, women crying for their sons because their sons are not, Romans killing riotous groups that are rising up. Free Judea, free our people, autonomy for Israel. You had Herod, an Edomite, and his dynasty. Herod's ruling, killing any potential threat, any potential Messiah. Then you had the Pharisees and the Sadducees that we learn from Josephus are not Jews by birth. No.
Brothers and sisters, they are there. We are not lost. We are scattered. We are original Hebrew.
Let's go! All praises be to the Most High God. Yeah, I say it.
I was opportune to meet my grandparents, whom from childhood had always made us to understand that we are one of the lost tribes of Israel. Okay. So, from my grandmother.
Right? Now look at these. I'm telling you, I gotta show y'all. A picture speaks 1,000 words. Just look for yourself. And this is the creme de la creme. All praises be to the Most High, y'all. Everything we've been through, y'all, the Most High is going to retribute it on all the nations that have had a hand in the oppression of his apple, the apple of his eye, his chosen people, his beloved, his fervent lover, his only begotten. They're going to have their part in the lake of fire. You see them tormented by some kind of creature. I don't even know what that even is, y'all. Judgment in chains. He that led into captivity shall go into captivity. All praise to the Most High, y'all. It said, thou that dwells in the clefts of the rock. Whoa, I know a lot of y'all know about the Caucasus Mountains. Let's just let the word speak. Let's go to verse 4. Though you exalt yourself as the eagle, and though you set thy nest among the stars. What's up, Science Odyssey? This is your favorite dreaded Israelite. Yes! Yoruba and Ephraim of the tribe of Joseph. This your favorite dreaded Israelite, the man, the myth, and the legend, Mr. JB Zion. Y'all, show me some love, and welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to Zion Dynasty, where your boy is back in the fringed up flesh, about to hit y'all with another banger. All glory, honor, dominion, power, world without end to the mighty one of Jacob. Yes, that faithful father, the holy one of Israel, the resurrector of the dry bones of Ezekiel. All praises, honor, and glory to the Most High Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai. And y'all, we back in this thing. First, I gotta say, peace, love, blessings, and moorish Israelite power to the world without end, to the gods of this earth, the kings and queens of Zion, the daughter of his dispersed, all of my Israelite brothers and sisters. Without y'all, I just gotta thank y'all. Without y'all, this work would not exist. Without y'all, your boy, all of your encouragement, all of y'all comments, all of y'all saying we're riding with the JB, we're supporting this work. I know, family, a lot of the stuff I've been saying is a tough pill to swallow. I don't know why the Most High gave me all of this stuff. I searched for other teachers to say some of this stuff, y'all, and nobody's talking about it. When there's so many precepts, so much history, so many scriptures about us being those Moorish Israelites. There's Harvard, Cambridge, Oxford, the Jewish Virtual Library, the Jewish Encyclopedia of the Diaspora. Y'all, there's so much history of us being linked to the Moorish Israelites, Northern Kingdom, the Moorish Ephraimites, Ephrati, those Moroccan Wefran. It's so much history, y'all, and I'm almost going mad because nobody's dealing with it. But y'all, we gonna deal with it, because this is the channel where we bring you that smoke, y'all. I would not be doing y'all the right service of the Most High if I said stuff that made y'all feel good on every video. I'm just gotta tell y'all, as a teacher, as a leader, sometimes you have a vision that the Most High gives you, and it's up to you to use wisdom, use tact, to lead the people to a certain place. That doesn't mean every message is gonna be jumping off the, ooh, I agree with that. But all I'm here to do is to get y'all to think for yourselves. All I'm here to do is to encourage the research and the scholarship that if y'all do it, you will see everything that I'm telling y'all, right? But before I go too deep, I gotta also greet all the Gentiles. There are a lot of y'all that are supporting this journey. Y'all support the Most High's chosen people. You support Zion. I could not thank y'all enough. I speak peace, life, blessings, wealth to all those sojourning Gentiles of Zion, those that are cleaving to Jacob, that are supporting the Father, those that really have the love of the Father in them, that know that the Father's love for his people has never been done away with. That I'm a part of a family that always sticks together. A lot of Gentiles have that spirit, y'all. They have the spirit of saying, man, the fact that this eternal creator has been faithful to this lineage throughout the test of time, y'all gotta hear me, is encouraging to me as a Gentile looking within, because man, that's the kind of love that I long for. I want to be a part of that. And I speak peace and life and blessings to each and every one of y'all that are supporting this work as well. So y'all already know what to do. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Y'all did that pretty good, right? Finished up the intro, because we're gonna jump into it, y'all. I know last video was like a 2-hour video. I thought about splitting it into 2 parts, but to be honest, I know a lot of y'all are not gonna watch those second parts, that the likelihood decreases of y'all following in, when the second part of most of these series tends to be my strongest part for the evidence. And I was like, let me just put all the evidence in one video, and now I can go back up and polish up some of the areas of confusion. Y'all, so like I said, y'all like, comment, share, subscribe. Share this with as many people as you can. We're gonna be dealing with King David, the Ephraimite, the African. We're gonna deal with it. Y'all are like, what is this, brother? I set you guys up. Every lesson is a strategic lesson. I'm telling y'all, I'm taking you to a place. I'm taking you to think like a free people, to think like a nation, to think like the gods of this earth, to think like Israel, to think like the sons of Zion, not the children of Israel in captivity. So everything is strategic, y'all. And what I found, so y'all like, comment, share, subscribe. Also, I'm gonna put that Cash App up. I gotta do better. A lot of y'all have been still emailing. I gotta catch up on the P.O. box, but I'm gonna put the P.O. box up in this video. Also, the Cash App, I'm gonna put that up. Now, y'all asking for PayPal and that kind of thing, I need to edit I'm gonna put that in the description. If y'all email about PayPal, I'm gonna reply to y'all as well. But the PayPal email is lowercase b benzion @yahoo.com, right? So y'all can use that email. Y'all can reach out to me if you're still, because a lot of y'all have been reaching out about that. But y'all support and donation is what allows this work to exist. It's a lot of time, a lot of research, a lot of literature, a lot of Harvard, a lot of time to do these things that goes into these lessons. So we're gonna go into this conversation. Y'all, I have been taking y'all by the hand to get you to a place of self-sufficiency. I'm just gonna put it out here. I'm gonna go ahead and show y'all the method of the madness, right? When I started talking about the virgin birth, from a psychological perspective, it showed me where my people are at. It showed us that we have low self-esteem. I'm telling y'all, the virgin birth was never to be a question of the ability of the Most High. Y'all hear me? This is the same channel where I showed y'all the axe head that swam out the water, flew to the other end of the axe that the guy had, that Elisha came on the scene. The brother swung back, his axe went in the water. Elisha, the man of God, called the axe head to swim. We talked about Moses and the parting of the Red Sea. We talked about Joshua causing the sun to stand still. On this channel, we do not deny the power of the Creator, because understand, he was operating in a power with his people that we still can't really fathom, because the dispensation that they were under. So this channel does not deny any of the power and the working of the Most High Yah. Understand, the virgin birth is a spiritual, legalistic event. It's not about the power of the Father to do it. It's about why he chose not to do it that way. Now y'all hear me. The Bible says, I'm gonna show that scripture on the screen, that the Most High made known his way unto Moses and showed his power to the children of Israel. A lot of our people have become signs and wonders junkies to their downfall. Y'all hear what I'm saying? Even in Isaiah 7, which I showed you guys, the Greek word or the Hebrew word for virgin, there are 2 of them, Alma and Bethulah. The word used in Isaiah 7:14 that Matthew chapter 1 quotes is the word Alma, which is a young maiden. It's word for word, y'all. All these precepts that I give y'all is word for word. I mean, you just got to read the Bible. So in Isaiah 7:14, Alma is used to signify a young maiden, right? So that is what is quoted in Matthew chapter 1. Now, a lot of our people think that this is a question of God's ability. I am not questioning his ability, But the reason he did not cleave to the nature of angels when he brought his son, we read this in Hebrews chapter 2, verses 16 through the remaining of the chapter, or verses 16 through 18. He says he did not take upon himself the nature of angels, but it pleased himself to be made just like his people, so that he could be a faithful high priest, in that he was tested and tempted in every way that we were. You got to believe the scriptures. I know it's sometimes you got to just believe what the Bible says. That word Alma in the Hebrew is straight up young virgin. Just, you can Google it. I'm gonna try to put that on the screen. This is no contest. We know that the author of Matthew is quoting that passage. Just like Paul in Romans 9 says that in the place that my people are not called my people, they're gonna be called the children of the Most High. Is he talking about white Gentiles? He is quoting Hosea that said the Most High would divorce northern kingdom for a season, but in the place where it was said to them that we're not the Israelites. Y'all black folks are not the Jews. You're not the history. In that same place in captivity, the nations will be forced to admit that we are the people of God. Throughout all the whitewashing of history, throughout all the alligator bait, throughout all of the lynching and the oppression of our people, throughout Trayvon Martin and Mike Brown, in the midst of all that, the Most High will restore the African roots of our text, that is the Holy Scriptures, and prove that we be the people of that book. Y'all gotta hear me. So Paul is quoting the Old Testament. Understand, everything in the New Testament is based on the Old Testament. If you do not know the Judeo-Hebraic Torah culture, you can never understand the New Testament. Y'all gotta hear me. The New Testament was written in Greek. Y'all hear me. The New Testament was written in Greek. So there's another layer of mystery if you don't know the womb from which the New Testament came from, which is the Old Testament. I bring this up because Isaiah 7:14 is where the virgin birth concept comes from. We know that they did not mean a virgin that did not have intercourse, but a young girl of virginable age, right? A young woman that should have been chaste, but you can't make that assumption. It's just saying a young woman, literally. Bethulah in the Hebrew means a woman that has not had intercourse, period. They're two different words. In the Greek, panthenos is the only word that they have, which goes back to the Greco-Roman culture of Zeus and that kind of thing, which means a strict virgin, like the mother of Hercules or something like that. This is where you have to know the New Testament is in Greek, so you have to transliterate through the Greek culture to derive the true Hebraic meaning. Just like, now y'all check this out. Just like when you're looking at the name of Christ, Jesus or Jesus is the Jesus. It's their concept of worshiping their God. That is a transliteration of Yahusha, which is Yah is salvation. That's the Hebrew Messiah, the African Judean Messiah, right? That takes that culture and changes it to Jesus, which is the Greco-Roman culture. Now, all of this is chestnut checkers, y'all. This is a slow and steady attempt to separate Christianity and white Jesus from the womb that gave it life. This is white supremacy. White Jesus is white supremacy. Christianity, Christmas trees, Easter baskets, all of this is that fourth beast of Daniel, the 10 toes on the statue of Daniel, the last ruling empire that we saw in the hidden book that they took out, 2nd Ezra chapter 6, verse 9, that says Esau, Edom, the red European rulership will be the end of the world, and Jacob, the black African Israelite, more will be the beginning of the world to come. All of this is white people, the European nations, using our history to substantiate their rulership in the earth. I know that's heavy, y'all. White people, Europeans, have never been the originators of anything. We see that black people can give birth to albino white people. Understand what I'm saying? So our people have always been the original people. Everyone knows this. The Bible originally is an African book. The first rivers that you see mentioned in the text are those rivers, the Tigris, the Euphrates, the Handakal, that surround the region of Ethiopia. Ethiopia, East Africa, being the Garden of Eden. We know that the land of Palestine today is on the exact same tectonic plate as the rest of the continent, which means
we consider Israel to be Northeast Africa. We are living here in the southern portion of Israel in what is known as the southern Judean mountains. And of course, we have to make this clear that Israel predates any Palestinian connections here to this land. When you look at the name of Palestine, it was the name that the Romans gave to the land formerly known as Judea. Now, I didn't say Jewish or Judaism, but Judea. So the Judeans were the people that actually lived in this portion of this land prior to it being named Palestine by the Romans. So this is what we consider to be Northeast Africa. We are sitting on the African tectonic plate. There are African species of birds and animals and plants that you'll find all throughout this region.
Why I took you here is that I want to show you that the country called Israel is sitting on the African tectonic plate. Now, we're going to go over here, and I'm going to show you where Israel sits on the African tectonic plate, which means that Israel is Northeast Africa. Now, when we look at this map, this is the Sinai. Okay, this is the Red Sea. This is Egypt. This is the Sinai. This is Israel. All right, this is Saudi Arabia over here. Now, if you see this in Hebrew, it says Haluach Afrikani, the African plate. Here it is right here. Israel is sitting right here. Israel is sitting on the Haluach Afrikani, which means that Israel is Northeast Africa.
In your book, Babylon and Timbuktu, that's one of the favorite books. I want you to go into, because you go into a lot of history regarding Israel along the west coast of Africa. Talk to us about that. Let me ask you this, because there's two trains of thought that I've heard people say. Some people have made the claim that some Israelites still are on the west coast. Some Israelites say they're all gone out of there. So what do you think the validity is? You think that there's still some there?
And there in Nigeria, there are the Igbos, the Igbos in Hebrew, and you know, evidently you know French then, right?
Yeah, I understand what that was.
In fact, the word Ebo, I don't know if you heard of this, but Ebo, that's the way you say Hebrew. The way you say in French.
Oh, okay.
You say Ebo. It means Hebrew.
Okay.
You see? So a lot of Israelites in southern Nigeria and in the country next door used to be called Dahomey.
Right, I've read about Dahomey.
Yeah, but now called Benin.
Benin.
In fact, that word Benin is a corruption or contraction from the Hebrew word Benaim Ephraim, which means the children of Ephraim.
Now that's in your book.
Yes.
I came across it. I was like, wow.
Yeah, you remember that.
That's right.
That's good, yeah.
Which means the Garden of Eden, the Promised Land, the land of Canaan, all of that was the Garden of Eden, the Promised Land that our people will return to, i.e. Africa. I am black but beautiful, Song of Solomon 1:5. Job 30:30, my skin is black upon me. Judges chapter 16, Delilah cut the 7 locks off Samson's head. Joseph was sold into Egypt, and when his brothers returned during the time of the famine, they could not recognize their brother Joseph. Y'all got to hear me. Moses was raised in the house of Pharaoh, even though Pharaoh was trying to kill every Hebrew baby. Paul was mistaken as an Egyptian way 2,000 plus years later in the New Testament. That means the ancient Israelites preserved this black African visage because our people, the Shemitic Israelites, mixed so much with Ham that they became the same synonymous people in appearance, but the indigenous Hamitic tribes didn't know the difference from the Israelites, right? But it was very hard because we see Moses was raised in the house of Pharaoh, even though Pharaoh was trying to kill every Hebrew. Now, how in the world did something like that happen? How in the world was the enemy of Pharaoh raised right under his nose? Paul was mistaken as an Egyptian. Christ went deeper into Africa to hide from Herod in Matthew chapter 2. So now all of this shows you that that Bible belongs to African people. The Bible is the last remaining offshoots of the black kingdom that was originally on this earth. The Bible in it has 3 eras. The era of the black man, the era of the European rulership, and the restoration of the black man. That's how you know the Bible has to be the word of the Most High, because it connects all ages within itself. It prophesied these things was going to happen. In 1 Maccabees, I showed y'all, chapter 3, verse 48. It says, and they laid open the book of the law wherein the heathen sought to paint their likeness. The Most High has their calling card, and the very same book that they tried to use to destroy our history, the Most High said, I already knew this was going to happen. This is chess, not checkers. Y'all got to understand the power of that word. Christ in his wisdom said that my mission is to resurrect a black nation, a black revolution, to restore Zion and to rule above all nations, to free them from the European Romans. That's my purpose in this world. But understand, he said I can accomplish that in my death. In my death, I will become a worldwide brand. Now, this is marketing 101. He knew that Constantine would come on the scene. He knew that Constantine would see this cross in the sky by the deception to his very downfall from the Most High Yah, that Constantine would adopt Christianity as the Roman Catholic faith. Y'all gotta understand, the official Roman religion would be Christianity, and the Gentiles, through deception, through looking at the Bible and saying, well, this is for all people. God so loved the world. They did not know our culture. The Bible is an encrypted zip file of the history of the black man. Y'all got to hear what I'm saying. The wisdom of the Father. There was a story in 1 Kings where the Most High showed an illusion off the water of blood to one of these kingdoms. I can't remember who was trying to conquer Israel, but he allowed Israel's enemies to see blood and to think that Israel had fallen. When they got there, there was an ambush waiting for them. You have to know the power of that book. That book has layers and layers of truth in it to protect the identity of a people. Hear what I'm saying? So all of this was by design to fool the nations. The nations seeing that Bible and not understanding the lineage of Joseph and not understanding, y'all gotta hear me, not knowing who the true lineage was, Judah versus Ephraim or African Ephraim. All of this allows their rulership but protects our history. Christ in his wisdom laid down his life because he knew the nations would pick it up, spread our history to the 4 corners of the earth. When this is chess, not checkers, checkmate, that's what he wanted to do the whole time. Because in Matthew 15:24, he says, I am not sent but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel. But Israel had been scattered even during the time of Christ. He could not reach every region, but his life could. If he laid down his life, it could. So now I'm setting y'all up. The virgin birth was a way that the Gentiles could use their culture to rule for a season. But when an Israelite extracts all the files from the zip file of the Judeo scriptures, y'all got to talk to me. An Israelite can say, wait a second, he was of a specific paternal lineage. Now we understand that the Apostle Paul in Revelation chapter 12, I got to go through this history, knew that a red dragon would try to kill a specific lineage. Y'all, there has been a war against the black race, and it goes so deep and we don't understand it's spiritual. That red dragon that went against the woman that gave birth to the Messiah, that red dragon represents Edom, the Edomites, the white Europeans. But not just that, Herod, who was an Edomite, the Bible tells us, was trying to kill Mary because Mary was going to give birth to the black Messiah. This same spirit is COINTELPRO, J. Edgar Hoover, going against every Israelite rebel rouser, Malcolm X, Dr. King. This is a spirit, y'all, that the Bible calls it out. That red dragon would give birth to the last ruling empire, the new Roman Empire, that its whole job was to use deception, use our history to be able to weed out any Israelite. Y'all, this stuff gets very deep. So John knew that this spirit existed that would use a deception of Christianity to enslave the entire earth. Christianity is the mark of the beast. White Jesus is the image of the beast. Y'all hear what I'm saying? So they had to get rid of us by saying Christ was immaculate. Christ's father was not Joseph. I got to deal with it. when the Africans that predate the Roman Catholic Church knew that Joseph was the father. The Ebionites, the Nazarenes, the Essenes, the first century church, the Israelites all said Joseph was the father. The Ebionites, the scariest thing is the Ebionite Gospel of Matthew stops at verse 17. I'm not trying to confuse y'all, but I got to tell you the truth. That the African Eastern Israelite Judean perspective was different than Roman Catholicism. They knew that Joseph was the father. And the oldest accounts of literature, the oldest version of the Gospel of Matthew also substantiates this. Jerome, St. Jerome, one of the early church fathers, attests to this. He says that we don't know who wrote the modern Gospel of Matthew, but we know that there was an older version. Now, y'all, this gets very deep. The working of iniquity. They laid open the book of the law and painted their likeness, not just white Jesus, but Greco-Roman culture. Zeus, an immaculate conception. I got to give y'all the truth. I would not be a servant of the Creator if I didn't tell y'all that that Bible is the African Eastern Israelite history book. They don't want Joseph's lineage to matter because when you research his lineage, we see the truth. Now, this is where David's lineage comes in. I got to tell y'all. This is where Christ's lineage comes in. This is how the Most High said they're going to steal my people's history, but they're not going to be able to do it successfully. Because the father took a hidden lineage inside of another tribe. Now, y'all check out that David Ephraimite video. I'm finna deal with the entirety of David's life. This is going to be a series. David was an African. I showed y'all that Africa is not a Hamitic word. Akebulan is the oldest term for the continent when it belonged to Ham, and it means the motherland. Because even the promised land is on the same tectonic plate. So that was the motherland. That was the Garden of Eden, Africa itself. Now let's go deeper. So now Africa is the motherland, but it was called Akebulan from antiquity going back to Ham. If you go a little bit further, it's called Ethiopia because Cush is the son of Ham. So any of Ham's descendants, you could see the continent be called after them. But Africa is not named after Ham's descendants. Let's go further. So you see Akebulan. You see the land of Cush or Ethiopia. You see the land of Mizraim, also referring to Africa. This is where you get Khemitic. Ham in the Hebrew is Ham, right? This is where the Pan-Africanists get Khemitic from, referring to the continent because Egypt was that leading civilization during that time in history. So where did the word Africa come from? This predates Leo Africanus. This predates Scipio Africanus. This goes back to Josephus. Josephus says that the continent of Africa was named after the two Afars. Y'all can look in Josephus Antiquities. I have both of those Antiquities and the Book of the Wars. If y'all want me to do a follow-up, I can go into more detail. But basically, Josephus talks about how the continent was named after the two Afars. One of those Afars being linked to the Cushitic people, the Midianite people. The Midianite and the Ethiopian people are Cushitic people. This is the same people. Because we see Jethro, the father-in-law of Moses, called the Midianite priest. His daughter, Zipporah, was the wife of Moses. So Israel was always linked up with Ethiopia, always linked up with Cush. And this is the first Afar that the continent of Africa is named after. But it says the two Afars. The other Afar is the grandson of Abraham, specifically the great-grandson, because Abraham did not have a grandson named Afar. But he did have a grandson, a great-grandson named Ephraim. When you look in the Hebrew concordance, the root of Ephraim is Afar. Those two Afars, Ethiopia and the Israelite Ephraim, created the continent known today as Africa through the Israelites migrating deeper into the motherland and having babies, creating the Bantu expansion, creating Wifran, the North Maghrebian Morocco Ephrati family. We also see that even before the first temple, you had Israelites in Africa, in Morocco from Eretz Israel. You had African Israelites that had been there way back during the first temple. Now it says a Jewish kingdom was set up there in Morocco, which was governed by the Ephraite family, then named Ephrati. So we see this connection with the Moorish history, the Moors that claim Moroccan heritage, right?
A lot of those Moroccan Moors were Israelites that set up a Jewish kingdom before Islam and was governed by the Ephraimite family. Now we see that when Islam spread through Africa, that a lot of these Jews were made to convert to Islam, and this is why a lot of our forefathers practice Islam to this day, from a lot of that spread of Islam going through Africa. But originally there was an old Jewish kingdom set up in Africa by the Ephraimite family, the Ephrati family, and Ephraimite, where you're getting Afri, are the people of Afri, Africa, right? The Jews of this kingdom are said to have belonged to, y'all watch this, the tribe of Ephraim, one of the lost 10 tribes of Israel. Now, JB, why you keep seeing Ephraim? I argue that the map has been turned upside down by white supremacy. What, JB? Y'all hear what I'm saying? When you look at Upper and Lower Egypt, Upper is at the bottom of our map and Lower is at the top. When you look at Nubia, Lower Nubia is on the top and Upper Nubia is on the bottom. Well, how does that make sense? The Bible says that this people, these Greco-Romans, that last beast, would seek to change times, locations, the geography of the maps. I argue the northern kingdom is actually Africa. That region of North Morocco, a lot of that, our Israelite forefathers lived in that region. A lot of northern kingdom was in that region. They knew to migrate there. We saw this with Derek Lang when he talks about the origin of the Yoruba. We see this with Gad's son Eri, with the founder of the Igbo people, also have that same oral tradition of migrating into Africa. So Africa would have been the northern kingdom hotspot. This is how we know the name Africa goes back to the Ephraimite or the Ephrati northern kingdom of Israel. This is why Ephraim, you keep seeing the tribe of Ephraim, because Ephraim was the leading tribe of the northern kingdom, the royal house, if you will. So, indeed, in the modern era of the Ephraimite family, they administered the affairs of the community of Ephraim. We see it was a vibrant location in Morocco and Africa where this Jewish kingdom existed, and our people ruled we were banished from that region. This whole Moroccan Jewish community coincides with the Yoruba's oral tradition. Y'all give back to the thing that gave you life, because in discovering your ancestors, you find yourself. Now, if we look at the Davidic dynasty.org, it talks about the Sephardic family. This goes into the Moors. The Moors, we looked at J.A. Rogers, that talks about these Sephardic Moorish families that were Israelites. Now, let's read this. The second family, the Sephardic, is the Al-Dahudi, the David family in Arabic, who are descended from the children of the last murdered Rosh Hagolah, which were the exilarchs that ruled in captivity. While our people were under Babylon, Assyria, what have you, we had a royal family of exilarch rulers that ruled our people, kept our people organized while we were in captivity, whose children in the generation of Rabbi Yehuda HaLevi fled to safety in Spain. Now we see that this David family was in Spain, but we're also going to see that they were in Morocco. Spain is connected directly to Morocco by the Gibraltar Strait. That entire region were Negro Israelites. Rabbi Abraham ben David, the chronicler of the 12th century, mentions the fact in his work Sefer HaKabbalah. As it seems, several other of these royal Sephardic families later branched out from the David family, such as the Dan Yayas. When you see the Nasi or the Yaya Negro, they changed their last name to Negro, because this goes back to Don Yaya Negro when he was given the land of the Moors. That's a lot of that Moorish history. But the Don Yayas, the Abarbanels, also never ceased to trace their origin to King David. Y'all watch this. Those related to the David family, we find after the expulsion of the Jews from Spain, we find them in Morocco. So this coincides with the Yoruba oral tradition that first they were in Spain, they were banished to Morocco, and later migrated deeper into the Gold Coast of West Africa. Most of our people come from these Nigerian people. The major groups of the Nigeria, the Yoruba, the Igbo, and the Hausa, all have oral traditions going back to Israel. The majority of our people go to the Yoruba or the Igbo. That's why I'm highlighting the Yoruba, right? So we see, family, that we find that David family in Morocco. We find that Sephardic royal family in Morocco, and I just showed you guys that through the Davidic dynasty.org. So now we got the oral tradition. That oral tradition is verified by Cambridge. Ulysses Santa Maria also talks about in southern Nigeria, the natives call black Jews the strange people or the Imo Yokwayim. Now, so you had Hamitic natives that knew about these Israelites that lived in Nigeria. Not just that, but you also had other Israelites that called them strange because some of our people were practicing Islam, right? So this is verified by Cambridge, the Cambridge University Press, about the B'nai Ephraim or the Imo Yokwayim, right? They're called B'nai Ephraim, the sons of Ephraim. So y'all, it's fact on top of fact. I'm gonna show you guys also that Jewish encyclopedia clip that also says this exact same information. Now let's go into the scientific side of it. Now, if you guys did your, I showed y'all the Jewish virtual library, I showed you the Jewish encyclopedia, I showed you Tel Aviv's library that attests to all of this Judeo-African tradition. The Ish people know that this is Judeo-African. Judeo-African Natufian culture predates the Ish people. But not just that, if you scroll down to Israel _Natufia, Natufia is the name for ancient Israel before the 1948. Now, the Harvard study already lets you know that before the 1948, we have DNA evidence of ancient sub-Saharan Negro remains. That means that the Israelites there today, if they are legitimate Israelites, they are going to be linked to these sub-Saharan Negro remains that predate the 1948 people. That means before the so-called white Jewish phenomena, there were black Negro remains, ancient black Israelites. So family, y'all gotta see how powerful this is. Josephus says the two Afars, the bi-Afars, founded Africa, and that's where Africa gets its name from. Where have y'all heard two Afars or bi-Afra from? The Nigerians. This is why in Acts 13 verse 1, the early church was called Niger or Niger. The early Israelites that had already been scattered, they first referred to themselves as Niger. The people that founded Nigeria during the time of the fall of the Assyrian Empire, circa 600 to 700 BC, the anthropologist Derek Lang, the Tel Aviv Library, is so much documentation about the fall of the Assyrian captivity and how a lot of those Israelites migrated into Africa and founded Nigeria. This is the origin of the Igbo, the origin of the Yoruba. This is well documented. They talk about Oduduwa, Dunuas, and Eri, the 8th son of Gad, that migrated into that region. So Nigeria, when you talk about the Nigerian war, it's the bi-Afran war, the two Afars, the Ethiopian element and the Israelite through Ephraim. So Africa is named after the northern kingdom, Ephraim or Israel, because the kingdom split, right? With the kingdom of Israel being led by Ephraim and the kingdom of Judah being led by Judah. Now, on your map, Upper Nubia is at the bottom and Lower Nubia is at the top. Likewise with Egypt. Lower Egypt is at, y'all look it up now, Lower Egypt is at the top, Upper Egypt is at the bottom. So if the northern kingdom of Palestine is really at the bottom, where does that put you? Below the Middle East, which is Northeast Africa, before Northeast Africa, below it is Africa. All of these pieces connect. Africa is the ancient northern kingdom led by Ephraim. The continent is named after that people. This is our history. This is where David's lineage comes in. I have to give y'all this truth. The nations have tried to change David's lineage, change Christ's lineage. I got to give y'all the truth. And because I looked this stuff up, I was like, nobody sees that 1 Samuel 17:12 clearly says that David was an Ephraimite. I'm going to put it on the screen. The CEB Bible, the NIRV Bible, the LSV Bible, the Hebrew Concordance, H673. Oh, I got to deal with it. Well, I got to deal with it. I got to deal with it. When you look in the Hebrew there is only one word for Ephraim and Ephrathite, and that's Ephrati. H673. Look it up. One person did comment and they said, well, H672 is Ephrath. That's Bethlehem. Bethlehem, Ephrat, or Ephrath, or Ephrati, all of that is the same. That is the place of Bethlehem. But the people of the place, like if I say my house, the people in the house are called Ephraimites.
Ephrathite, ashiness or fruitfulness, an inhabitant or descendant of Ephraim. So one that inhabits Ephraim or is a descendant of Ephraim, or also is an inhabitant of Bethlehem, because these Ephraimites lived in Bethlehem because Rachel in Genesis 35 verse 19 died in Bethlehem. All praises to the Most High. Now I'm going to show y'all some more sources. H673 again, Ephrati. There's only one word in H673. And Ephrati means, it says an Ephrathite or an Ephraimite. That means that this could be interchangeable. It's the same word, Ephraimite, Ephrathite. Somebody just variated the word to dissociate Christ and David from Ephraim. Y'all, there has been a big plot against so-called Afriat or Ephrati African people to separate Northern Kingdom from Israel, to do away with the remembrance of Israel.
Because there's only one word. Understand, what happened was a scholar or a Judean scribe, somebody doing some wickedness, saw Ephraim being Jesse's people, and they created a variation of the word Ephraimite and created Ephrathite. But you can see through this when you know the Hebrew language, that in the Hebrew language there's not two different words for Ephrathite and Ephraimite, there's only one. So in the CEB Bible, they recognize this and they clarify this because it's the common English Bible. It takes the Hebrew and directly transmits it into the English language. The CEB Bible in 1 Samuel chapter 17 verse 12 says, now David, the son of Jesse, the Ephraimite that lived in Bethlehem Ephrati. I got to get y'all this facts, y'all. Rachel, we saw in Genesis chapter 35 verse 19, Rachel died on the way to Bethlehem. She was eventually buried in that area. Now, this gets into the whole thing that if I'm from Texas, I do not have to be from Dallas. If I'm from Alabama, I do not have to be from Huntsville. If I'm from Judah, it does not mean I'm from the tribe of Judah. I need y'all to put your think caps on, because the nations know that Africa is the northern kingdom led by Ephraim. They know that our lineage is tied to Ephraim. The Yoruba, the Igbo, the Ashanti, all of these are northern kingdom. This is why in 1995, the prime minister of Israel sent his team to Nigeria to search for the lost tribes of Israel. They are not lost, they are scattered. Those 10 tribes led by the house of Ephraim, this is where the diaspora comes from. They come from the lost tribes. They targeted specific Israelites that were sold. So now let's get back to the story. So David's lineage is through Ephraim because the country of Bethlehem, just like if I'm from Texas, I'm not necessarily from Austin, the town of Bethlehem was given to Joseph's seed, was given to Ephraim because their foremother died there. Y'all read 1 Samuel 17, you read Genesis 35:19 that says Rachel was buried there. Also, in Matthew, a sister pointed this out on the comments. In Matthew chapter 2, when Herod, the great red European dragon, tried to kill the black Messiah, what did he do? He went to Bethlehem Ephrati, and he killed all of those babies that were 2 years old and younger. Why did he do this? He did this to get rid of any Ephraimite that was the Messiah. How do I know this? Because in the same chapter, y'all gotta hear me, they quote from Jeremiah where it says Rachel cries for her kids because they are not. Wait a second. If you go back to Genesis, you see that Leah was the mother. This way y'all gotta know this Bible. You have to know it. You have to know the lineages. You have to know the pedigrees. Leah is the wife that gave birth to Simeon, Reuben, Levi, and Judah. Well, why in Matthew, when Bethlehem is under attack, does it say that Rachel was crying? Rachel was the mother of Joseph and Benjamin. Let me show y'all something. I gotta show you. David and Ephraimite. Y'all check this book out. In this book by a doctor of medicine and pharmacy, as well as being a doctor of divinity, this Korean brother goes through in great detail how the Judean scribes tried to do away with this knowledge. Now, y'all, it gets very deep. Y'all just stay with me. Before y'all go through that book, now y'all check that book out. But that brother goes very deep. Also, Messiah ben Joseph goes into that as well in detail. But basically, what happened was Rachel died on the way to Bethlehem, and Moses agreed to take that one town within Judah and give that to Joseph's seed. This is why when Herod was killing all those man babies, it says Rachel is crying, because Rachel was the foremother of Joseph and Benjamin. Rachel was the wife that Jacob loved. He worked from a legal standpoint to get Leah, but his heart was always with Rachel. Now, this is not to discredit the tribes that come from Leah. That's not my heart. But to show you that to find the father's heart, you have to go deep into Jacob. Jacob's heartbeat was Joseph. So when he thought Joseph was dead, but he lived, this is a foreshadowing of Yahusha. Now, y'all, this stuff gets very layered upon layer of metaphor. I showed you guys that Mary's name of the Hebrew is Miriam. Miriam was the sister of Moses and Aaron, sons and daughter of Levi. So her name shows that she was from the tribe of Levi. Well, you can't just use that, JB. I know, I'm just showing you supplemental history. Not just that. The Bible tells you her first cousin was Elizabeth. Elizabeth was the wife of the high priest, which means she had to be from the tribe of Levi, because only the Levites from a Judeo perspective were allowed to be the priest. So if her first cousin is a Levite, she is a Levite. They stay within their tribe. Now, so you can still say she was Judah because the southern kingdom had Judah, Benjamin, and the tribe of Levi. Y'all got to take notes. But we know she was from the physical tribe of Levi. Her name is a Levitical name, Joseph. When you look at the Yaya Negro family, I'm going to tell you, I got all receipts. The Yaya Negroes are one of the most prominent Sephardic Moorish families. They were Moorish Israelites. I'm going to prove Moorish Ephraimites. How do I know this? I have the whole table of the Yaya Negro pedigree. Y'all can Google it. The Yaya Negroes, you will see the name David throughout their seed. You will see the name Solomon, and you will see Joseph numerous times, almost more than David. This is how Joseph, the father of Yahusha or Yeshua, his name goes back to the David lineage, which were Ephraimites that lived in Bethlehem, y'all. That was the one city that was not given to the tribe of Judah. We see in Joshua chapter 15 that it names every city given to the tribe of Judah, and you do not find Bethlehem. I showed y'all that in the last video. So I got receipts, y'all. Look at Joshua 15. It names every single city, and Bethlehem is not included because they reached a mutual agreement that because Rachel died there, Joseph, them Ephraimites, we wanted that land. We wanted that town because that's where our mother's bones were speaking from the ground. That's where she was buried. They took lineage very serious in Bible times. So when I brought this lesson to y'all, I knew this would cause a stir in Zion. David was from a small clan of Ephraimites that moved to that area within Judah. We see this, and we put it on the screen. 1 Samuel 17 verse 12 says, David, the son of Jesse, the son of the Ephraimite that lived within Judah. So yes, Christ was the Lion of the tribe of Judah. He came out of Judah, the region of Judah, but the town of Bethlehem, which belonged to the tribe of Ephraim according to his blood. Y'all got to hear me. And when you look at H673 in the Hebrew, there's only one word for Ephrathite and Ephraimite, which means that somebody translating made two distinct words, but from the beginning it was not so. Whose going forth has been of old, Micah 5:2, even from everlasting to everlasting. I fight for Ephraim. I fight for the house of Joseph, because in fighting for Afriya, I am fighting for Africa, the people of Afri, Banu Ephraim, the Moorish Ephraimites. The whole continent of Africa is the promised land led by this clan of Ephraimites that come out of Judah but are of the tribe of Ephraim. So in Yahusha, he reconciled all the kingdoms. Y'all gotta hear me. This is how David was the only king in Israelite history that unified all 12 tribes.
The northern kingdom loved David because they knew his blood was Ephraim. The southern kingdom loved David because even if he was Ephraim, he was raised within Judah. So he had a heart for Judah. So he unified all of them through the bloodline of Ephraim, which was the blessing that Jacob gave to Joseph, that the name of the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob will come upon he that was hated by his brothers, he that was sold into slavery. Wait a second. African Americans, the descendants of the Biafran Nigerians, were sold into slavery, just like Joseph was. We're the descendants going through the same cycle before we realize who we are. We are the descendants of Joseph. We are the scattered, lost tribes of Israel, the 10 tribes led by Ephraim, the Biafras, the Ha'afrati Moroccans. The Moorish Ephraimite history unifies the entirety of the continent, and this is why white people had to substitute Ephraim out and they only saw Judah. And this was working by the Most High's plan, because he knew if they really knew that the Messiah's bloodline was Ephraim, y'all check this out, they would claim to be Ephraim. So the Most High is playing chess with these boys. The Strong's Concordance, the Tel Aviv Library, the Jewish Virtual Library, all attest to this. It was hidden in plain sight. H673 in the Strong's Concordance, there's only one word, y'all. So when you see Ephrathite versus Ephraimite, the Hebrew does not say that. It says Ephraimite and Ephraimite. That's what you got to know the Hebrew. So in Hebrew, we see that there's only one word, and that is Ephraimite. So in 1 Samuel 17 verse 12, when it says David was the son of Jesse, the Ephraimite in Bethlehem within Judah. It was the one town that was within Judah's borders, but did not belong to that tribe. You have this happen a lot. You had some cities within Ephraim that belonged to Manasseh. You had Simeon's regions. Y'all got to know this. Ooh, I'm going to give it to you though. I'm going to give it to you. Simeon's inheritance was within Judah as well. Y'all read back in the book of Joshua where Joshua divides the lands up. Also, let me drop another nugget. Joshua, who led them into the promised land, he was an Ephraimite. Joshua that gave them their borders was an Ephraimite. Why is this significant? Because in Acts chapter 7, it says after Moses with the tabernacle, later led by Jesus into the promised land and drove out all of the foreigners, the Jebusites, the Hittites. In Acts 7, it says Jesus. But we know this is talking about Joshua. Why is this important? Understand, Jesus' name, Christ's name in the Hebrew is Yahushua or Yahusha. The exact name of Yahushua or Joshua in the Hebrew. So Christ, who was of Ephraim, the Ephraimite clan, going back to David, his name was Joshua in Ephraimite, who was the son of Joseph. Christ's daddy name was Joseph, descending from David, the Ephraimites, son of Joseph. They named their kids the history of their heritage. The Ephraimite family of Bethlehem knew their pedigree. That's why in the book of Ruth, the kinsman redeemer, Boaz, had to sleep with Ruth to raise up the Ephraimite lineage, or they would have been lost within Judah. That's why they took that stuff seriously. This is why it was so serious about the kinsman redeemer. When Naomi's 2 sons died, they tried to keep that Ephraimite blood alive in Bethlehem, which is why they arranged the marriage for Ruth to get with Boaz to raise up Obed, who is the father of Jesse, who is the father of David. Y'all, this stuff is clear in the scriptures, but it was hidden in plain sight because only one people can claim to be Ephraim, and it is the Ephraimite people, the Judean African people. Y'all, it's so much history. I got the Messiah ben Joseph book. Y'all check that out. Y'all be like, where JB get these books from? Where you get these articles from? I showed y'all David and Ephraimite. Y'all check that out on Amazon. I showed y'all Gerald Brown's article on the Bethlehem. He's a doctor in divinity. He goes into that Bethlehem Ephraim clan that went into Judah. I showed y'all the JSTOR account that has the Cambridge oral tradition. I showed y'all that as well. Y'all, it's so much. I showed y'all the article I found that goes through the Hastings Bible Dictionary, goes through the Zondervan, goes through all these Bible dictionaries to link Ephraim with Ephrathite, Ephrati with Ephraim. Y'all, there's so many sources. And we're going to do a series going through David's life, showing you his African kingship, that he was Ephraimite. I showed y'all that in the Jewish Virtual Library.
I showed y'all that in the Tel Aviv library in Jerusalem about the Ephrati people that were in Morocco, right? Christ was a part of this Ephrati line, this Ephraimite line that lived in Bethlehem. This is where Christ was born. This is where David was born. Jesse, Obed, Ruth, Boaz, that Ephraimite family that wanted that town because their foremother was buried there. Y'all research this stuff for yourself and you will find that, wait a second, JB on to something, because I couldn't find no other video talking about it. And I was like, there's a conspiracy against African people, the African Moorish people. There's a conspiracy to wipe out the remembrance of Israel. We see this in Psalms 83, that there was crafty counsel. Be not silent, O God. The heathens have taken crafty counsel. They are confederate against your people to wipe out the remembrance of Israel from under the earth. But we know in Jeremiah 17:4 and Deuteronomy 32:26, and I know this is a lot of precepts, y'all. Y'all replay this stuff, y'all take notes, that the Most High knew our people would lose our identity in the Gentiles coming to power, because they both could not exist at the same time. The black man and the white man's rulership cannot exist at the same. I'm telling y'all, this is true. So for our people to be at the bottom, that allows the Gentiles to rule for a season before the Most High restores Israel, and all those Gentiles that say we want to get with them, all those cleaving Gentiles that recognize we're God's people, they're going to be grafted in as well through honoring the firstborn, which is Israel. So y'all, this is going to be a series. I'm going to go into David's life and show you what he was able to accomplish. He went to war against the fallen angels, a lot of legendary stuff that David did, because he was able to unify all of Israel, because he was an Ephraimite, which was the royal family of the 10 tribes, and he was an Ephraimite living in Bethlehem, which he became the royal family of the southern kingdom of Judah. So I hope y'all got something out of this. This one is just a prelude to the series of David we're going into. I'm gonna go through all of his life, all the way from him being anointed and how Samuel knew about David, because Samuel was from Mount Ephraim. There's a lot of stuff in there, y'all. We're gonna deal with the African history of that Bible. It belongs to the Moorish Ephraimites. That's where the continent gets its name from. Those that gave opposition to Rome, the Banu Ephraim, those Ephrati like El Kahina, Daya, they fought against the Romans when the Romans tried to come into Africa initially. Later, they got caught up in the whole Arabian Moorish influence, but you had some Israelite Moors that practiced Islam versus TORAH. So you had Jews and Moors within the Moorish Ephraimite ethnicity. Y'all, there's so much history. So y'all check out a lot of those DNA videos, those Harvard videos that go into our lineage, being linked to the ancient Moorish Ephraimites. So family, in conclusion, David was an African, because the word Africa is Shemitic, going back to the two Afars, by Afar, going back to Ephraim, him living on the northern region are those Ephrathite people, right? David was linked to Ephrati, which was an Ephraimite, African, the northern kingdom. He came out of that through the clan of Ephraimites that lived within Judah. So yes, David's lineage is that royal lineage that unites all the 12 tribes, because they lived in Judah, came out of Judah, out of the town within Judah, but their blood lineage was linked to Ephraim. There's a lot of spiritual, the birthright that was given to Joseph. Y'all can read about that in Genesis 48-49. Jacob crossed his hands and put the chief blessing on Ephraim, that the blessing of the eternal heavens and the dew of the earth would, that's a serious thing. We don't know how serious that blessing was of the birthright. It was put upon Joseph, so no king, no deliverer could come out of any other tribe unless Joseph was associated with it. This is why the scepter would not depart Judah until Shiloh comes. We see Shiloh is the chief city of Joseph, right? So the scepter would not leave Judah, because within Judah's territory was the scepter itself, which was the royal family of Yosef, Ephraim, Bethlehem, Ephraim. So y'all, this is a lot. We're gonna go more into detail in this thing. This is why the virgin birth could never be true, because the mystery is Ephraim is the blood lineage of David, from which, and when y'all say, well, it's evident that he sprang out of Judah. Yes, I can come out of Alabama and not be from Tuscaloosa. Y'all understand that Bethlehem was a town within the region of Judea, but it did not belong to the tribe of Judah, but it was situated within Judah. The Most High played chess on the nations, because if they had known this, they would have stolen our identity as Ephraim,
but they chased after Judah when those that called themselves Jews would not be anyway, and the lineage was Ephraim all the whole while. Checkmate. So I hope y'all got something out of this. I'm telling y'all, that word is so powerful in restoring the African man back to the history of Northern Kingdom, of Ephraim, of the continent of Africa belonging to our people. And I hope y'all get something out of it. Take notes. Drop comments down below. Y'all like, share, and comment, and all that good stuff. I love y'all with the love of the Messiah. Peace, love, blessings, and Israelite power. Yoruba Banai Ephraim of the tribe of Yosef. I love you all with the love of the Messiah. Peace, love, and blessings. Shalom. All praises.